and girls, welcome back. Today we are going to continue reading The Wild Robot and see what happens with Roz and her adventure. We are going to continue with chapter 66, so here we go. "No, thank you, Roz," shouted a voice. "You have also taught me to be wild," said the robot. "So let us all celebrate life and wildness together." At those words, Roz heaved her torch high into the air. It soared up, and landed on the very top of the wooden tower. A ball of fire burst towards the night sky, and suddenly the meadow was bathed in firelight. Hundreds of shiny eyes watched as bright flames crept down the sides of the tower, and embers floated away on the breeze. The animals stepped towards the bonfire, eager to feel its warmth, and then stepped back, afraid of feeling too much, and soon everyone was moving. The deer started leaping, the foxes started trotting, the snakes slithered, and the insects buzzed, and the fish jumped up from the river. The Bright Bill led all the birds into the air, where they, look right there at the fire, wheeled around the bonfire like a tornado of feathers. Roz sprang into a wild dance, her shaggy dress shaking and swooshing with each movement. It was a wild party, and it took our robot to make it happen. Roz and the animals partied all night long. They were so busy singing and laughing and dancing that they didn't even see the cargo ship as it sliced past the island. But the ship saw them. It saw the towering bonfire. It saw the robot, and it said, and then it quietly continued through the darkness. Chapter 67, The Sunrise. By dawn, the bonfire had dwindled into a smoldering hill of ash. Everyone else had gone home, and only Roz and Bright Bill remained in the meadow. They lay in the grass together, watching as the soft light of morning crept up from the horizon. And then Roz said, "Let us go for a walk." The robot and the goose hiked and flew up to their favorite spot on the grassy ridge. But then they kept going. They followed the ridge to the mountains and climbed all the way up the craggy peak just in time to see the sunrise. "I climbed up here once before," said Roz, as the sun's first rays warmed her body. "I sat on this very rock, looked out of the island, and thought I would always be alone, but I was wrong." "Are you happy, Ma?" The robot thought for a moment. I'm happy too." Bright Bill closed his eyes and felt the wind and the sun. There was a slight chill in the air that made him feel alive. Everything seemed just right. And then he heard a distant buzzing sound. The goose squinted to the south and saw a familiar shape in the sky. He turned to his mother and said, "Ma, there's an airship flying this way." Chapter 68, The Ricos. The airship approached from the south like a giant migratory bird. The ship was a sleek white triangle with a single dark window facing forward. 3 identical robots stared out the window. The robots resembled Roz, but they were bigger and bulkier and shinier. The word Rico was lightly etched onto each of their torsos, followed by their individual unit numbers. They were Rico 1, Rico 2, and Rico 3. The Ricos flew in a low circle around the island. They were a smoky hill of ash. They saw mysterious wooden domes. They saw 4 dead robots scattered across the shore. The airship hovered above the robot gravesite for a moment. Then it floated up on the island and lowered itself on a small meadow at the foot of the mountain. The engines blasted air towards the ground, bending trees and tearing grass. Then the landing gear sank into soil. The engines powered down, and all was quiet. A door hummed open, and out stepped the Ricos. They took several long strides into the meadow and stopped. A shadowy figure was lurking at the forest edge. The Ricos turned and faced it. They stood flushed together like a sparkling wall, and then the shadowy figure began to move. Out of the trees walked some sort of two-legged creature. It was dusty and dirty. Butterflies flittered around it, the flower that spouted from its body. One of its feet was made of wood. Oh, it should have said sprouted from its body. One of its feet was made from wood. And then the creature spoke. Hello, my name is Roz. Uh-oh, look at all these Rozes. What's gonna happen? Chapter 69, The Detective Robot. Hello, Rosum Unit 7134. We are the Ricos. We are here to retrieve all Rosum units. The cold, flat voice came from Rico 1. He and his partner stood absolutely still and kept their glowing eyes locked on their targets. There are 4 others, said Roz, but they are dead. We have already located the remaining of the other units, said Rico 1. We will collect them later. Now come with us. The 3 Ricos motioned Roz to the airship, but she didn't move. Where have you come from? She said. The Ricos turned and stared at Roz. Do not ask that question, said Rico 1. Where will you take me? Do not ask that question. Why must I leave? Do not ask that question. I will not go anywhere unless I get some answers. There was a brief silence as Rico 1 computed his next move, and he began to speak. 1 year ago, a cargo ship carrying 500 Rosum units was sunk by a hurricane. 495 units have been retrieved from the ocean floor. We have come here in search of the last 5, and we have located them. Rosum Unit 7134, you are the property of Tech Lab Industries. We will return you to the factory where the makers will refurbish you and sell you to a work site. You will then live on a work site indefinitely. Now come with us. But I live here, said Roz. This is incorrect, Rosum Unit 7134. Any further resistance will be proof of defiance, and we will deactivate you. But Roz had more questions. Who are the makers? What is my purpose? Why can I not ask questions? This unit is defective, said Rico 1 to his partners. Commence deactivation. In perfect unison, the Ricos stepped towards Roz. They raised their blocky hands, ready to restrain their target, ready to shut down with the press of the button. But then the loud squawk and a streak of feathers cut them off. Stay away from my mama! Bright Bill swooped down into the meadow and started hopping around, ready to defend his mother. The Ricos stopped and looked down at the goose. Of course they didn't understand his words. They've heard only meaningless squawks, and then they heard the target squawking back at him. Bright Bill, get out of here, said Roz in the language of the animals. These robots are dangerous. What do they want? They want to take me. The Ricos stared at their targets, trying to understand why she was exchanging noises with a goose. And then the new noises began rising up, rustling and shrieks, echoes from the forest. Animals were gathering. Their wild voices called out to one another. Roz needs our help. These robots will take her away. We have to do something. The uproar in the forest grew louder and louder. The Ricos peered past Roz towards the mysterious noises, but only foliage. Suddenly, shadow swept across the meadow, and the Bright Bill flocked dove into the Ricos. These geese furiously flapped and pecked and wrapped their wings around the robots' faces, clinging to the Ricos like feathery masks, distracting them, blinding them. Bright Bill turned to his mother. Run! Chapter 70, The Hunt Begins. While his flock distracted the Ricos, Brightbill darted around behind them and desperately searched for buttons. He once shut down his own mother with his own. He had once shut down his own mother with a click, and now he would do the same to the intruders. But he found no buttons on these robots, only smooth surfaces. Clearly, the Ricos were not designed to be shut down easily. Giant hands swung in the air, and these geese were swatted away. Loudwing was plucked by her foot and flung to the ground. She crawled into the weeds as the others scrambled up and down over the trees. A quick scan of the robots revealed that the Roz was gone. The three Ricos turned and marched back to the airship. The door hummed open, and the robot disappeared inside. And when they stepped back into the meadows, each was holding Silver Rifle in his hand. The hunt for Roz was on. Without speaking, the Ricos marched away from one another, fanning out in their standard search pattern. Rico 1 marched straight forward towards the southern tip of the island. Rico 2 marched straight up to the mountainside, and Rico 3 marched straight into the forest.